are angry. It's okay.
I'm not angry. Except when you keep repeating, you're angry. And that shit's fucking annoying. Like a fucking gnat at a barbecue. Just bugging the fuck out of me.
Good. I want you to say, I'm angry. It's okay. I'll process my anger. I love myself. Woozah.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And boom, back at it. Episode 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That many episodes. And honestly, didn't have a topic for today, but I thought of one just like about 3 minutes before I came on. So we're just gonna talk about it. It's called the hell is it called? I didn't even name it yet. I wasn't prepared, and that's how I like to be, not prepared. Anyway, I think it's called Back in the Day. I'm going to call it Back in the Day because I like going over some of that. When I was talking about the VCR and stuff, it just brought back all these old memories. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start talking about old stuff. Plus, I'll probably talk about growing up, and that's what I should have did on the first episode, but whatever. But there is one note that I did take, and I just want to say this before I forget because I always forget all these good things that pop in my head, but there was one I put being open. And the 3 things I have is periods, weed, and sex. Let's start with weed, right? So I find it funny, right? Every time I go up north, and I visit family, and I'm talking about like cousins, aunts, my dad, all that stuff. It's so funny how like weed is just normal now. Because I remember back in the day, because that's what this whole thing is about, back in the day when, everybody tried to hide it. Like, I remember when my parents used to hide. Ooh, outing my parents out on this episode? Sure am. But anyway, they ain't going to get arrested. But I remember, so back in the day, right, my parents didn't know the type of friends I hung out with, right? But this is, you'll understand later in the story. The place where I lived, you're bound to hang out with those people, right? So I already knew what weed smelled like, looked like, and all that stuff, right? So I remember, playing outside, and then I'll go back inside, and I'm like, I smell something. And then, like, I was like a damn cat, dog. I'm like, got my nose out, I'm like, I smell something. And then, my parents used to hide it and be like, that's incense burning. I'm like, what's the flavor? Marijuana? Is the flavor marijuana? Because that's what I'm smelling. But yeah, they always have like some incense burning. And my dad, he was into Oriental shit, so he had like a dragon or some shit. Like smoke was coming out the dragon's mouth. But anyway, I knew what it was, but I like how they try to hide it. It was so funny. But yeah, I like it when I go up north, and it doesn't matter, cousins, aunts, and when I go see somebody, it's like it's part of what they offer. Like when you walk in, they're like, I'll come in and they're like, hey, we'll catch up, and they're like, hey, you hungry? I'm like, nah, I'm fine, but you thirsty? I'm like, yeah, I could use a water. Okay, they give me water, but you don't want no snacks? Nah, I'm good. I'm like, hey, you want some weed? I'm like, oh. like it's weird when like an aunt's like, hey, you want some weed? I'm like, maybe later. I had some this morning. Be lying and shit. Like you don't know how to respond. Like I remember they hit me with that last time I went out. I was like, say what? And, I'm old enough, but it's just still weird hearing that from like, and it was just like, it wasn't one household. I went to another household. They were like, hey, you want a beer? I'm like, nah, I don't like beer. Beer is disgusting. Ew. And hey, you want this? You want this? And I'm like, no. They're like, we got some weed. You want some weed? I'm like, what the fuck is it? It's like weed is like part of the new charcuterie board. Ooh, charcuterie. That's a famous word. Anyway, I felt like, that's what it is now because everybody's offering it. Non-stop. No matter who I'm going to. Cousins, aunts, uncles, my dad, they're like, hey, I'm like, do I need it? Are you guys just offering this to me Because if you're just offering it to me, that means I need it. I mean, like, you see something in me where, like, this guy needs some weed. But if it's, like, part of the new offering, it's funny because I was like, I got to keep up with the times now. I got to keep some shit stocked in my, my house. What if somebody comes over and they're like, damn, man, you can't offer me some weed? I'm like, oh, shit. Sorry. Didn't know I was supposed to have some in stock. But it's funny how it's so open now, because I remember when it was so secret. My parents were hiding it, and everybody was hiding it. And it was just so funny because my parents, like where I used to live, we're going to talk about that later, back in the day, we had a basement. In the basement, that's where they would do it. They would go to the basement, smoke weed, and the smell's going to travel up. You should know this already. So I always smelled it, and yeah, it was always incense. Always incense burning, but yeah. It was the marijuana. Anyway, so I found that funny. And that's the whole thing with being open. And then the thing with periods and sex, right? So with sex, I feel like, yeah, people are, just more open with it. They're just talking about it. They're like, yeah, going home tonight having sex. When before everything was a secret. Everything was a goddamn secret. And periods, I'm only mentioning this because, I don't want to be talking about periods on here. Ugh. But anyway, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because, I'll be at work or home or, wherever. And I like how women are just talking about it now, like, and they have no shame. I remember I was at work and I was sitting with my group, it was 2 guys, 2 girls. And I remember they used to say, hey, it's Shark Week. And I was like, the fuck? And they kept saying that, and I didn't catch on. I'm like, what the fuck is with these people in Discovery Channel? And they like sharks. So, like, they kept saying it was Shark Week. So, I'm trying to, be cool with everyone because, like, only 3 people were catching on to it. So I'm like, all right, fuck. I got to watch this Discovery Channel tonight. I got to see what these sharks are about, right? I'm going, there ain't no fucking sharks on. So I'm like, when they say Shark Week, one day I asked, what the fuck you guys mean Shark Week? It's that time of the month. I'm like, oh, wow. The whole time I'm thinking I'm behind on fucking Shark Week, and I think everybody at my fucking job, I'm like, it's weird how all these women at my job love sharks. But anyway, yeah, it's just funny. Like, just recently at work, this girl was like, oh man, it's stabbing today. She walked by everybody. She was, oh, it's stabby. It's very stabby today. And I'm like, God, so open. Because I remember that was a secret, too. You girls used to, like, hand them over like some fucking drug deal. Like, hey, you got a pad? Everything used to be whispered. Now, like, you could just hear it in the office. Like, everybody's like, hey, anyone got a pad? And everybody's just like, I know the guys are just like, I don't know. But, yeah, it's just so open and makes me laugh. I'm glad it's like that now. No more fucking hiding shit. Everything had to be hidden. Like, hide all this, hide weed, blah, 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 So it's kind of funny now. But anyway, that's all I had on that. I just found that shit funny because I was at work and everybody's like, oh, it hurts. It's stabby today. It's so stabby. And they always look at the guy like, you don't even know my pain. I'm like, sorry, I don't. Anyway, let me try to go over growing up because nobody want to hear my fucking origin story. I ain't no goddamn superhero, but I'm going to try to do growing up fast because there's some funny stuff I want to get to, like AOL, and just thinking about it now, there's a funny catfish story I want to talk about. So growing up, all right. So this should have been in the first episode, right? A lot of people don't know this about me, so just fill you in. So, born and raised Newark, New Jersey. We were in North Newark. Newark is huge, so we were in a park called North Newark. North Newark was filled with all Latin people. If you were Latin, you lived in North Newark. So remember, we started in North Newark. We had very poor, very, very poor, small room we lived in, and we ate the same shit every day. Now, the same shit, because, I'm about to tell you, because when I moved to South Newark, I don't even know if it's called South Newark. I know I lived on a thing called South 11th Street. I don't know if it makes it South Newark. When we moved to a different part of Newark, I went to a private school. And you can be like, private school, how much money did they have? But wait for the story, right? Anyway, we ate the same shit every day. Rice and corned beef. And I'm going to put up corned beef somewhere around here. And you can see that nasty can of meat. We ate that shit almost every day. Because it was cheap. I'm assuming it's cheap. You know, if you look at it. Ugh. Anyway, we ate that every day. Was it delicious? Yeah. I'm saying ill now because I'm looking at the ingredients and all that stuff. And I'm like, would I eat that shit now? Absolutely not. But was it delicious back in the day? Yeah, because that's all we ate. So, very poor. Lived off rice and corned beef. Rice and corned beef. Anyway, we moved out of, you think we would stay in a community that had all Latin people, but nah. That shit was the most violent place I ever lived in. I mean, I've seen so much as a kid. Seen like stabbings, people getting jumped, people bleeding out, street balls, all that stuff seen in North Newark. I seen my uncle, who can't stay out of prison. I seen him. He this man, I don't know what was with this man. I don't know if he's extra jointed or something. But I remember cops were chasing him out of a second story building. He jumped out of the fucking window. And I remember because I was close. And he jumped out of the fucking window, landed like the superhero landing. Remember Deadpool? He was like superhero landing. And douche. Just landed and ended up taking off. And I was like, what the fuck is with this guy? His knees. Like, if I jump out this window right here, it's not even that high. My knees would crack. My knees would be broken. You know? And this motherfucker just jumped. Whoosh. Remember, he had the wingspan. I remember asking him when he was older and we passed that whole him being in prison for fucking years. I'm like, how do you just jump out windows and jump over all this thing? He's like, oh, that's easy. You just put on extra socks. And I was like, ugh, the criminal way. Learning the criminal way. So now y'all know. If you want to jump out of windows and keep your knees intact, wear 10 socks. Anyway. So we ended up moving out of North Newark because it was just bad. So I think my parents looked at this house, right? Because now, don't think it got better. Like, we moved to a better spot. We ended up moving to another shitty spot. Anyway. The house was nice, and I guess at the time it was cheap for them. So, probably put that up there. If that's still if it's like listed. I know once people buy houses, they take off the pictures. But if it's still listed, I'll post it. The house that I grew up in. So it was a nice house. It was built in like fucking 1800s, but it had a basement, first floor, second floor, third floor, right, and it was fucking big, man. And it had a big backyard, it had a long driveway, and it had a garage. So, in the backyard, we ended up putting a pool. So you guys are going to keep saying, like, yeah, how much money you went. But anyway, going on. So we moved there, and they sent me to a private Catholic school. And you're like, oh, you guys were loaded. No, still poor. So the whole point of this is the neighborhood, right? So, because the neighborhood was so bad, shit was cheap. And that happened to me here, actually. When I moved to Georgia and I was looking for homes to buy, I kept, going through the listings. And I always seen, like, the places, College Park, East Point, they were so cheap. And now where I live, Newark is the most dangerous city out there. You could Google it now. I actually Googled it before I started talking all this shit. But yeah, it's Newark. So for Georgian people, if you're trying to see what's like, so Newark is equivalent to College Park, East Point. That was Newark, just very bad area. So yeah, we moved out to anyway. Where I was going. See, I'm all over the fucking place. Yeah, when I moved out here, I was buying a home. I noticed that, College Park and East Point. What the fuck? Did that just happen? Did this happen on here? After I just put, I put do not disturb on my phone. The shit doesn't work. Somebody disturbed me. Anyway, so I put, I looked at the homes, and I saw really nice homes. I'm like, what the fuck? And it was like a lot of bedrooms, and then when you look, you see the pictures of the inside, you see everything. I'm like, damn, the inside looks nice, everything nice, big backyards. I'm like, why is all this like $100K, right? It's cheap. So then I remember looking at the city, and I didn't know anything about the cities when I moved out here. I didn't know what was good, what's bad, And then, I had to look for schools because I got kids. So, and I see the schools were like 1 out of 10, grammar 1 out of 10, middle 1 out of 10, high school 2 out of 10. And you're like, what the fuck? And then I looked at the crime rate in the 90s, 90% of crime happens here. So I was like, oh, I get it. So I was like, oh, this is Newark. So anyway, fast forward to the story. So yeah, my parents moved in a bad neighborhood, but the house was fucking nice. So, we ended up moving there, and then they sent me to the, private Catholic school, right? Which was weird. It's like you put a private Catholic school in the middle of the hood. But what was even weirder, there was always crime everywhere for some reason. I guess like the thugs and all the criminals were like, let's not mess with the school, but let's fuck up everything around it. So I remember all this crime happened around, but in the school, nothing happened. So it was like a little safe area for people. Anyway, I remember going to that school, and the neighborhood we weren't around any Latins anymore. It became predominantly black. So when I went into school, and no lie, this is the secretary in the school. I remember she told me, she was like, the school is 95% black, right? So she was like, you and your sister are the only like students that are not black. So I remember like, even as a kid, like I didn't understand that until like now I go back and I think about stuff like that. And she was like, yeah. And then she was like, after you guys came in here, like, cause me and my sister came in 1 year, and then the next year they said all these other races started coming. You got everybody coming in, Asian, Indian, and they were like, you guys started that. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah. And I remember she told me that. And as a kid, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like, I was in fucking, second grade, going to third grade. So I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck you're telling me. She said, we started all that. So cool. Whatever. So grew up there. And then, did good there. Ended up getting, I ended up skipping. A lot of people don't know this. I ended up skipping 7th grade. So I went to 6th grade. I skipped 7th. Went to 8th, right? There's a good thing about that and a bad thing about that. Good thing is I skipped, right? And, I met one of my bestest friends now, who I call him my brother. If you ever see him, I say I have a brother, and I ain't going to post his picture. That's embarrassing. I ain't going to do him dirty like that. But anyway, if I ever say, this is my brother, and a lot of people you have seen him, but yeah, I met him because I skipped. If I didn't skip, I wouldn't have met him, So anyway, that was so mushy. So mushy. But here's the bad thing about skipping, right? I think 7th grade, I missed a lot of things that were needed, to learn. Like, I remember there was a book that everybody knew about that I still don't know. There was like Outsiders, and like there was a couple books like that and a couple things that you learned in 7th grade, but I ended up skipping 7th grade, so I never learned all that stuff. So when I hear people talk about this book, they're like, oh, I remember reading this. I'm like, nope, didn't read it. And nope, I'm still not going to read it. If there's a movie out, I'll probably watch it, depending on the actors. Anyway, so I skipped 7th, went to 8th, and then, I did good, which was surprising. I did good. I got a 4-year scholarship to, get this, and I didn't know this at the time. I got a 4-year scholarship to all Catholic private high school, right? So this is where the story gonna get a little weird. So at the time, I didn't know it was an all boy Catholic private high school. Didn't know that. I knew that going into it like a day before, no, actually, it was like a week before. They did these things where like a student, you come in to see the school, and a student, takes you around. He shows you around the whole school the whole time. So he's your escort or some shit. So, a week before I started the school, this kid, and I wish I remember his name because he was funny as hell. And if I see the pictures of them, I could point them out. I just don't know names because I'm terrible like that. But anyway, he was funny as hell because I remember when I came in, he had looked at me. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna show him around school," and he looked at me like, "Why are you here?" Right? So, I had to, go through first period to eighth period, all classes, his lunch, with him. So I remember going through it, and I just remember from first period all the way to eighth period, he's like, "Why do you want to come here?" He's like, "Dude, do not come to this school." And then he was getting in trouble in a couple of classes. And I'm like, this guy is just, I can't, trust this guy because he's a fucking troublemaker, He's just, he's just saying shit just cause trouble. So I was like, I can't trust this guy. So he ended up showing me around school. And there was this other guy that I met in there. I wish I knew his name. He was funny too. He was like, he asked my name. He was like, Diaz, why are you trying to be in this school? Why are you trying to be in this school? There's other schools. He was like, don't go to this school. School sucks. So I should have took their warning. Because I would have got out. But anyway, I'm like, honestly, I didn't even know this was an all boys school. He was like, you didn't know that? I was like, nope, I didn't know that. But I told him, I was like, I got a 4-year scholarship here. So I was like, if I could save my parents money this way, maybe I get something with that saved money, car, later on, So I was like, let me save the money and go to this fucking school. Worst decision ever made. And I thought, what I thought the worst decision I ever made was, I remember my mom, she was like, hey, pick a gift, right? She made me pick between a Super Nintendo, ooh, so old, and a Sega Genesis. And I remember, I was like, that was like a pivotal point in my life, right? I'll tell you why. I chose Super Nintendo, right? Because I was a fan of Mario and all that shit. But at the time, I started noticing all the cooler kids. This means I wasn't cool. All the cooler kids had a Sega Genesis. You know why? Because Sega Genesis had games that had blood and gore and all that stuff. And, Nintendo doesn't do that shit. So I was like, that was a pivotal point in my whole life. And that's why I didn't hang out with the cooler kids in the beginning. I became a cool kid. But I didn't hang out with the cooler kids because I chose the Super Nintendo like an asshole. I'm playing fucking Yoshi and other people playing Killer Instinct and there's blood and fatalities and I'm with Yoshi. So anyway, but yeah, worst decision I ever made in my whole life. I ended up hating school. I used to love school. Ended up hating school, but I'm not gonna go into it because this was like 4 years of fucking torture, and this is what junior and senior year is. I skipped so much goddamn school. I was skipping school like fucking weeks. I was skipping school. I would skip school every other day. But anyway, and I still passed. I'm not gonna go into that. That could be like a whole episode. If you guys want to hear like how the all private boys school experience was, I could do a whole episode on that and still have more left. Anyway, so I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but I just remember this was where the hell started. They make you do an overnight before you start the school. You do an overnight. I think it's like like a Friday, Saturday, and you go home on Sunday or some shit like that. It was something weird. Or maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you go home on Monday or something like that. So anyway, it was an overnight, right? And I remember there, in the beginning, you pack your bag. You're like, oh, so you sleep in the school. And yeah, they say like it's a bonding experience. You get to know everybody, blah, blah, blah. So I go in school. I'm happy. My mom drops me off, gives me a kiss. I wasn't embarrassed. She does now. I'm embarrassed. Anyway, gave me a kiss, dropped me off. They were all nice. I remember them being nice. They were saying all this like, oh, he's going to do fine. We'll take care of your son. Selling the whole bullshit, right? And the headmaster, he's like in charge of the whole school. He was super nice. He was talking to my mom in Spanish. And, doing all that bullshit, right? As soon as they got us all in this gym, it was auditorium, I think, and they closed the door, it turned into fucking boot camp. Hell boot camp at that, because they just all, it became like, yeah, you were in the army or something, because they just, everybody get the fuck in the showers. And you're like, you're like confused for a while. You're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what I don't know what just happened. They're screaming at you, get the fuck in the showers, everybody on the walls. When you're a freshman, you have to walk with your right shoulder on the wall the whole time. So you just have to graze the wall. That's how people know you're a freshman. You just graze your right shoulder on the wall. I didn't know this bullshit. But yeah, and then they were just screaming like drill sergeants getting in your face. Hurry the fuck up! Get to showers! And I'm like, oh my God. And it's too late now. Because the doors are locked. Your parents are gone. And now you're in hell. So, and yeah, and let me see. I'll tell this one story because, like I said, I don't want to fucking go into this because I have so much stories from that fucking prison. Anyway, I remember, and yeah, it was bad because we had to go to the locker rooms, right? And these men were screaming, get naked, get in the fucking shower now. So all these dudes, I'm in the locker room with all these fucking dudes, right? Must have been like fucking 200, 300 of us. It was too much dudes, right? All fucking getting naked, ass and dicks everywhere. Anyway, I just remember standing in a line. We had to stand in a line. We're all naked. I mean, we had a towel around, but we're really naked. So then we had to all share the shower. So I had to go. I remember there was one day, my unluckiest day, you know, when you go to these showers, you want the first couple stalls. I would think, you know, you don't want to walk through a bunch of asses and dicks, right? So I remember I was the last stall, and I was like, oh man. So I had to walk through all these asses and dicks, and I remember, you know, just keep looking up. But I ain't gonna lie. I looked down once, and I looked down. It was this guy. He's a soccer player. I'm not gonna out him, but I want to. And I think he turned out to be gay. Not sure. I have to look that up. Anyway, I remember looking down, and holy lacrosse. He was a lacrosse player, had a lacrosse stick, huge, and I was like, I immediately covered mine. I was like, I saw yours, you can't see mine, because you're gonna be disappointed. But anyway, the last story I want to tell is when I was coming back and I was drying myself. I remember there's one of the drill sergeants there. They were called like group leaders. You know, I just got back. I was trying to dry off and he's screaming, fucking hurry up and get dressed. You're too fucking slow. You fat fuck. And he's screaming this shit. Now, does that bother me if somebody calls me a fat fuck? Absolutely not. By that time, I had thick skin. You know, I grew up in an area where you have to have thick skin because you have jokes. Everybody's always joking, and then my family's like that, always joke. So that you had to come stronger. Calling me a fat fuck, I'm like, okay, that's easily brushed off. But anyway, he's yelling. He's like, get dressed now, you fat fuck! Screaming. I'm trying to put on my underwear and shit. I remember like my underwear's halfway up, and then finally another group leader comes and yells at him. He was like the higher up group leader. He goes, he's trying to fucking get dressed. Get out of his fucking face. Maybe get dressed, right? And that dude ended up becoming somewhat friends. Like, I feel like he remembered that experience because, like, even though he was like 3 grades ahead of me, or 2 grades ahead of me, I feel like he remembered that experience because every time I saw him, it was like a level of respect. And I think it's because he wanted me to be a wrestler, and I should have been a wrestler. But anyway, I never turned out to be a wrestler, so I think that's what it was. I think he wanted me to be a wrestler, and anyway, so yeah, that was that story. But yeah, if y'all want to hear more about that fucking torture school, let me know. That'll be another episode. I'll tell you all about, you know, I have fucking stories for days. But I want to move on to, you know, back in the day. So when I was talking about the VCR thing, I wanted to talk about AOL because AOL was like the first, you know, email thing and instant messenger thing out, right? So I remember when I got an AOL account, and I still use this AOL account now because it's so funny. Like, people ask me for, like, every time I go shopping, they're like, email. And I don't never want to give them like an email that I'm using. Like, any of my Gmail, that's like for, you know, business stuff. So I always give them the AOL mail. That's the first email I ever had. And I remember my name. It's so it's always embarrassing when I have to tell them. They're like, what's your email? I'm like, it's macholove1@aol.com. So first of all, they started laughing at Macho Love One, right? They're like, what the fuck? And then when I say at AOL.com, they're like, what is wrong with you? And I always have to explain myself. I'm like, listen, I keep this email for junk like this. I was like, I don't want your damn newsletters and all that shit to come through, but you asked me for my email. I'm trying to be nice because I can't say no in a nice way. Because if they say like email, I'm like, no. No matter how I put no, it's going to sound like an asshole. So I could be like, no. It still kind of sounds like an asshole. So I'm like, I give you this email because I don't want newsletters and coupons from this goddamn place. So the name that name came up because my nickname my family gave me is Macho, right? That's part of it. But when you're looking for names, you got to get whatever the hell they give you, because sometimes there's a gazillion machos out there. So I remember there was Macho Love, and then anyway, that's how that got created. I just picked what was like there. It was like a preset, and I'm like, yeah, this one. And the shit still with me. I still use that email, and I still give it to people. Anyway, I remember so the instant messenger on there, if you guys don't remember this, this is the first thing, there was chat rooms. You go in a room and you could chat with a bunch of people, which is weird. Thinking about it now, that was weird. And then you could have your own private little chats, right? So I remember this is going to go into my first time I got catfished. I mean, 2 times I got catfished. And then I actually catfished people too. So anyway, so I remember, on AOL Instant Messenger, your boy had game, right? Because, I know the right words to say, what not to say, what, you had like sounds and stuff you could insert, I just knew how to do that, which was weird because I went to, all boys school, and, I haven't seen a girl, so I'm like, how the fuck did I know? But I don't know. I just knew, right? So I remember this is the first time I catfished someone. Well, I don't think I catfished someone. I catfished someone. All right, here's the thing. So we're at the point, you're always at the point where you want to exchange pictures. So we exchange pictures. She would send me, some provocative pictures, and I would just send her, just me, right? So this is why I say I have catfished her. So, you always give them the best picture you have. So I gave her a picture from like here up. Right? She gave me pictures from the waist down. So, you learn this later. So, I didn't give her, I was chubby. So I'm actually going to put the picture. I'm going to put the picture of the ones that I used. Because, yeah, I'm going to put it. So I used to put this picture. It's me, it's my uncle, and my cousin. And I used to just post a picture. I never said which one I was. I just let them see. I'm like, which one do you like? And yep, I was always last picked. My uncle was first pick. My cousin was second pick. I was always last pick. So, fuck them. Anyway. So, yeah, I used to do that. I used to post a picture of the 3 dudes. And I'm like, which one you like? And then I pretended to be that dude. But anyway, this one I actually said this was me. But I only gave her like half the photo, right? So she didn't see that I was a chubby dude. But she ended up giving me, from below the waist, fine. It was nice. Mid area, kind of like mine's, kind of matched mine's. The face was a complete catfish, right? So let me. It sounds so fucked up. Like, you can see the picture of me. I wasn't no good looking dude either, but you know what I'm saying? I remember my uncle drove me. We went down to her place. He dropped me off because we planned this out to spend like a whole day together. He dropped me off, and you could tell in his eyes he was like, this is a bad idea because you never met this girl. This is going to be bad. But he wanted me to go through this bad experience because he would have just, never took me, or just like, stood around, and if it didn't work out, pull me out of there. But he dropped me off and said, good luck. I remember ringing the doorbell. She comes out, and no lie, I know this is supposed to be a comedy podcast. That's what I label this shit. It's a comedy podcast, right? This is straight up. The girl's face and hair, especially her hair looked like Blanca from Street Fighter 2. exactly like Blanca. If you don't know who Blanca is, I'm gonna post a picture of it. He was the green monster with the red hair, and he fucking. I was like, when I saw her, I thought she was gonna just squat down and generate electricity like he does. She looked exactly like Blanca from Street Fighter 2. So we both realized we catfish each other. And I don't think that was even the term back then. But anyway, we both realized we catfish each other. But I was like, hey, you got the better of the catfish. You didn't tell me you like Blanca from Street Fighter. The hair was spot on, and no lie. I thought she was going to do a cannonball roll. But, she probably looked at me like, I didn't know you were that big, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, at least I gave him a real face. From here to here was real, I just didn't show you my midsection. So anyway, so we ended up planning the whole day out. We ended up going out anyway. We kind of passed over the catfishing thing. But I just remember the whole time, like, what the fuck? I'm walking around with Blanca from Street Fighter. Awesome, So it was weird, we were talking and like we're still cool because the relationship you develop on there, but like in the back of our minds we're like, I can't wait for this to be over. But she was cool. I mean, she like, I remember she cooked for me, like she cooked empanadas and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, ended up cooking and doing all this and like showed me around the city and that. But I was like, yep. I knew this was going to be the last time we met. So after that, my uncle picked me up. I didn't even say nothing. I was so damn speechless. And he just laughed because he knew. he knew what happened. And I was like, yep, got nothing to say. And yeah, I learned my lesson. Anyway, there was a second time I got catfish. But this time, I was full catfish. I sent the same picture. But I said I was my uncle, the one in the middle. So I kept saying I was him. But this one, she actually sent real photos. And I remember she was from a city called Elizabeth. So she sent real photos, and she was into fitness. She was into fitness at a very young age. And always talking about fitness, gym. And at that time, this boy ain't going no damn gym, I didn't get into, exercising and shit till like late teen years or something like that. So yeah, gym wasn't me. And but your boy lied. Boy said, yeah, I go to gym all the time, I think I did karate though. So I thought that counted. I did karate, but not the same. Anyway, so I remember meeting up with her. She saw me. Like when I saw her, I thought it was gonna be, another catfish. When I saw her, I'm like, oh, she's actually real. But at this time, I'm like, oh, but I wasn't. So I remember when she saw me, the first thing she came out, she was like, oh, you're not that guy in the picture. She said, you're the other guy. I'm like, yep, the other guy. But she was cool about it. She was like, hey, you shouldn't have did that, blah, blah, blah. But ended up being friend. It was like a same thing. Like, ended up being cool, doing the whole day. She looked disappointed. I wasn't disappointed because she actually was the person, and she was nice. She went to the gym, so she was fit. So I was like, yeah, never gonna see you again, right? I mean, we talked after, never saw her again. But those are my catfish stories. And after that, I'm like, fuck all this. Meet in person, meet in person, get it over with. You know what I look like. Boom. Anyway, those are my catfish stories. But what else I have on here? Because, damn, I'm way over time. I like to stay about 30 minutes, like 38 minutes. I'm sure. I think, yeah, because I don't want to talk about that damn place. I want to talk about my school. Ugh. Hated that place. But, yeah, I mean, what else I have on here is how I never realized, because I went to 4 years of all boys school, I never realized like when girls were hitting on me, even like when I was in all boys schools, I still reached out, to other women, or women surroundings, but I never knew when I was being hit on because, those are like skills you develop when you're in high school and, you're co-ed school and, you're hitting on each other. Like, you probably learn that shit quicker. I didn't know that, so I can never tell when a girl's hitting on me. So like, to me, like now I'm thinking back in the day, like so many opportunities were missed. I feel like R.I.P. DMX, but like that DMX song, like there was Brenda, Letitia, Inez, Felicia, about 3 Kims, what? Toya, Tina. I feel like that. That's how much opportunities I missed because I didn't catch that back in the day. Like it completely flew over my head. So, and you know, that's because all boy Catholic school. Ugh. You know those fuckers. They still send me newsletters or reunions, and they want donations. I'm like, no, you were the worst 4 years of my life. You want me to donate to your school? You want me to? And then the reunions be funny because like the guys be talking. They be like, hey, you remember this? Remember this? I'm like, no, don't. I block it all out. Those 4 years, I'm trying to block all it on my head. And a lot of people don't know that. So, but yeah, horrible times. But like I said, I got tons of stories about that if you want to hear more about that. And you know, that's it. I'm not gonna mention fitness. I feel like I fucking mentioned the fitness thing over and over. But yeah, it's coming out Friday. So today is before the 4th of July. Yeah, so yeah, Friday, gonna drop something. There's gonna be a sketch before that. Look out for that, please. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. We 40 minutes in. Damn. Y'all still listening to me. My bad. Oh, before I forget, you know, I want to shout out one of my friends because when I do the fitness thing, there's certain apparel that I wear that's another friend I'm gonna shout out. But if you like these shirts, let me close this. I hope this doesn't mess up the recording. But yeah, I wear a lot of shirts like this and shit. If you ever wonder where they were from, or you know you liked them, a friend of mine, he makes clothes. I met this friend when I was working. Oh, that's gonna be a topic. But anyway, I'm gonna bring him up later in another episode about work when I first started working and all that shit. But anyway, he makes his own clothes. They're really dope. In the back, it says thought provoke, and I actually have a couple of stuff. I wore the shit out of this hat. I don't wear hats. If you guys know me, I don't wear hats because I have this weird fucking shaped head. If you look at my head, it's like a football, and like it's weird. I have a fucking weird rock shaped head. Anyway, this is the only hat that I like, but I wore the shit out of it. If you can see, it got fucked up because I wore it everywhere, beach, running, anywhere. But yeah, like I got a lot of compliments on this shirt when I was down here, and everybody's like, "Hey, where'd you get that from?" So I'm gonna post his stuff, his socials and all that stuff. It's thought provoke. It's really dope. This guy was actually, and I'm gonna talk about this in another episode. He was actually the start of me being a more confident person, because before your boy was like a little shy, but he was part of the ones that broke me out of being shy. But anyway, I'm actually gonna wear this next episode. But he has a lot of dope shit, man, and I wish I could rock it and send pictures, but I don't go anywhere. I literally go nowhere. I stay home, with the kids and shit, and my kids play with other kids, and so yeah, I don't go out to rock all this nice stuff. But if I ever do, I'll take pictures and send it. But yeah, check this shit out, man. He got some dope shit, and if you like it, like I said, I'm gonna post it. I've been wanting to wear this one for a minute, but like I said, where I'm going, I'm saying, I ain't going to no fucking club. What I'm gonna do at the club? I feel like every time I go to the club, I'm just like lost, Quick story, man. This is quick story. I went to a club, one that my friend DJ's at, and I went into the EDM room, right? there's the clubs have different rooms. You got Spanish, you got the whatever hip hop, and you got an EDM room. I remember going to EDM room, and I'm just doing up. I don't know how to fucking EDM dance, but I'm just I'm making up my own shit. I'm like do that beat goes, and then I'm trying not to fist pump because that's Jersey Shore shit. And I'm making up my own dances. And I remember this this girl. I don't know, because I started drawing in the crowd. And I don't know why I started drawing in the crowd, but the crowd started drawing in. And, they were cheering me on. And then I started doing stupider shit, right? I'm like, oh, you want this? EDM, right? And somehow the crowd was feeling it, but it wasn't real EDM dancing. If you look at real EDM dancing, I'm gonna post that somewhere. There's a girl named E Cruz. I follow her on Instagram. She does that shit and she teaches people how to do that. And I need to take those classes. Anyway, this girl comes and I guess she doesn't like that the crowd is feeling me, right? So she just comes out of nowhere and she just jumps in my face and she starts doing, real EDM dancing. And then she looks at me like I ain't shit. And then she completely plays me out. And then she flicks her hair and walks away. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just bullshitting here. I'm like, why the fuck why you had to embarrass me in front of everybody? She just literally did this dope dancing and everybody's like, oh, she played you. I'm like, I wasn't even playing. How did she play me? She came, she did her own fucking dance, flicked her hair like I wasn't shit. I was like, what the fuck? Let's just say that was the last time I went in that room. I have not been in that fucking, and I like the music. I like EDM music, right? So, yeah, I'm like, what the fuck was that? She just had to show me up. Just embarrassed me in front of everybody. I was like, I remember I was just sitting there like, how the fuck did this happen? They need a camera of that. I hope they record these shits. I'd be like, hey, can I get a video of that for this podcast so you guys can see? Yeah. Anyway, she outdanced battled me, and then she left me standing like an asshole. I was standing and everybody's like, oh, she got you. I'm like, I was just fucking around. I don't even know what the fuck I was doing. I was being an asshole. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Next week, I think next week, I'm going to drop working out. Yeah, because that's going to go with the video and, yep. Yeah, but look out for this other sketch. I'm making my own damn series of sketches. So, look out for that. Like and subscribe and all that bullshit. And I will see you on the next one. Later.
Oh, don't be angry.
I'm not angry. I think it's funny.